Didn't mean to have it on my Steam. Whoops. Anyway, hello everyone. To everyone just joining, to people who have been waiting, and to everyone watching things back on the VOD, whether it's here on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on when you're watching this. Hello, welcome to another stream, and it is Game Dev Sunday once again. Last week I'm trying to think on. Let me look at the VOD archives to refresh my memory on stuff because oh yeah, we were doing more bits with the save system. That's what we were doing. That's what I remember now. So the week before last, towards the end of that stream, we managed to do some, or try to work out how to do some save system bits, but it wasn't working properly. So by the time last week started, I had like collectible information being saved properly, and we expanded on that by, let me just click back into Unreal because the scrolling is going to take a while if I'm not in. So we expanded on that by making some changes to the main menu. So instead of saying like just start or play or quit or start or quit or whatever, now there's start, load, and quit. And there was a whole bunch that we had to do in order to make sure that things were working. So we have a save slot menu which we can open and close. We have, of course, like it's different depending on whether or not you're starting a new game or whether or not you're loading a pre-existing save. If you go like slot 1 and say, oh, data already exists here, then do you want to overwrite it? Was it? Yeah, it was printing out the right slot name. So because data already exists here, we're going to say a save game already exists in this slot. Do you want to overwrite it? If we click yes, then we create a new save slot and we start the game and so on and so forth. But if we go back, if we load this, then we just load into what we had previously. But again, because what we would normally have for enabling input on the normal level doesn't exist, and we can't do anything there if we load into that level just from the main menu. To be fair, I could quickly just go into the level blueprint for this stage, and then I could just grab the code from here and then copy and paste it over. So I'm going to copy it, then I'm going to go over to the third person map, go to the level blueprint, paste stuff here, and then begin play. And now if I was to load into this from the main menu, then we'd be able to sort of move around and do everything as we would expect it to. But yeah, no, so in terms of the data being saved now, so if you go into game save data, which is the class that I'm using for this, not only does it save, or it used to save, or it still does save the player state, so that's still there. Save player state is still there, or the player state is still there being saved. Not only that, but now we're saving cheese map, fruit map, which is what I created before last week's stream to save the actual collectible information. And also we have the last save level being saved. So not too much has changed from what I initially had it at when I first started implementing the save system. But now we save the last level name. And I feel like see, here's the thing. If there's something that I actually need to sort of deliberate here, and this is for a future reference kind of thing. Also, my little me is still there as a reference from art stream from the other day when I was like drafting up my plans for my different emotes or my PNG states, which I will probably actively work on when I'm not trying to push out a video and get that out of the way. So right. So the thing I'm thinking about is, at the moment, when loading a scene, so when loading scene, So, alright, so I should say when. So, when loading a scene, at the moment, data loading handled by the player controller. And at this stage, while it's okay for testing, and, you know, making sure that this is working, later down the line, I believe it would not be optimal to have the player controller handle, like, loading in data, especially if it was loading in data not just only for the player, but for other things within the game too. I mean, mostly it will just be, like, player stuff, but if there was, like, changes to a level environment or events that had been triggered within the level environment, and we had, like, flags that we needed to sort of save for certain, like, levels or hub worlds or so on and so forth, if we went that far, then we don't want something related to the player to handle this, because it would create unnecessary sort of, like, attachments to different objects that are unrelated to this thing. So, of course, the solution later down the line would be to create, like, a save data manager or something along those lines that would be responsible for saving the data, but also loading in data to other objects. And there would likely be a way to do this without, you know, having to make specific references. So, they would be multicast delegates. But I'll get to that eventually. And just to sort of make sure that I'm prepped for when I get to that, okay, right. But yeah, multicast delegates, essentially, you can have multiple things bound to it, and then when you need to call a multicast delegate for anything that's bound to it, you could just call a method on it called broadcast, and that essentially just executes all of them simultaneously. Compare this to sorry, I got some sweets earlier. But single cast delegates, by comparison, can only have one thing bound to them at a time. And they really wouldn't serve us well here. So, a multicast delegate would be super helpful. So I'm going to keep that in mind for if we do make a save data manager. I also realized I didn't write now next to right, so oops. Oh gosh. There we go. Sorry, it's just that those sweets I got, they normally take some time to chew through, so, yeah. So at the moment, handled by player controller, which later down the line is not ideal. Right now, it's good for testing and stuff. later down the line we may solve this problem with a save data manager and use like multicast delegates, that when we are saying, oh, we're loading stuff, then this will broadcast to all objects that are bound to it, and then say, oh hey, any data that you need to handle from the save game, you can handle in your own way, and so on and so forth. So if we need the player controller to handle player-specific data, then we do that. If we need, say, levels to handle level-specific data, then we can do that, and so on and so forth. I don't know the logistics of how I would handle that as of yet, but I know that I can do that if need be, which is pretty cool. So, something for me to keep in mind. However, that's besides the point. Right now, no checkpoint data is stored. Oh, sorry. And the reason why I mention no checkpoint data being stored is because although like some platforms and whatnot really, now I think about it, there really isn't many examples of platformers that don't have checkpoints and whatnot. Like, whether it's 2D or 3D, there are many examples of platformers that have checkpoints. So we could be talking about Sonic games, Mario, Crash Bandicoot, of course, Spyro, and hell, you can have, and hell, even like lesser known titles have checkpoints and whatnot. But the point is that hold on, give me a moment. My brain is taking a moment. Oh yeah, no. The point being is that for my project, it would make sense to have checkpoints within a level, represented by either a static object or a thing that saves your game, like how in Spyro you have Zoe, the fairy, sort of zap you and then say, oh, your data has been saved, but I've also marked this as a checkpoint and whatnot. And then whenever Spyro dies, whether or not he loses all of his health, or he falls off the edge, or so on, he'll be returned to that previously saved checkpoint, which, I mean, sounds simple enough. However, the one thing that I am kind of worried about is how exactly we would handle storing checkpoint data, because at the moment, as I said, we're not storing any, and we don't want to store checkpoint data that is saved to the save file, because if I wanted to load into a level from, you know, the main menu, I want to do it how Spyro does it, where you load into the level that you were last in, but at the same time, you don't load to any checkpoint, you just load right at the start of that level. So that's one thing I want to be able to do, is, of course, load in to the last save level, but not load at a checkpoint. But at the same time, I want to be able to let me think. Bearing in mind, this isn't even the main thing that I'm choosing to focus on today. This is just, you know, stuff that I'm considering for later down the line, because it's good to have this kind of plan in place. But yeah, going over what I actually want to get done, as you can tell by the title, I'm sorry, Ratman, but we're gonna have to forcibly diagnose you with the dead. So, health and lives. So, we've been slowly building up to this. In a way, because if we go back to the project, so if I go into play mode, and now you see that the UI fade also appears in this level 2, which is good. So we approach this enemy, the patrol enemy or the grounded patrol enemy that shoots the projectiles. At the moment, the message doesn't appear anymore, but if you do remember, this is making contact with the player and then disappearing when it hits the player. So yes, this is technically hitting and dealing damage to the player, but at the same time, it's not, because it's not, knocking the player back. It's not, actually taking away health. It's not making the player fall flat on the ground and die. So, one of the things I want to focus on, of course, is, properly implementing health and lives, because we've already got things handled for the player killing the enemies with the charge or the stomp, and, having those two things at their disposal. However, we do not have things in a way that properly affect the player. So, the only known case where this is kind of happening at the moment is with the spikes. And if you remember, then that's good, but if not, then I can always go over things again. So, go back into play mode again so I can show things. So, I'm going to jump on this. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the only known case where the player is actually being knocked back by a thing, and that's just either jumping into or running into the side of spikes. And sorry, a little tired, but anyway, I want this to happen with enemies as well, where, their attacks, their projectiles, whatever happens between them and the player actually hurts the player. And one of those things is, of course, knocking the player back. That's, an important part of things. But at the same time, being able to actually damage the player is, it's very important. It needs to happen, because you can't have interactions between the player and between the enemy and have them be one-sided. You can't have it so that only the player can just, go crazy, charge into the enemy and delete them from the face of the world. And that's another thing I want to do as well. So I'll make a note of that as well. But I don't want it so that, the enemy is just instantly deleted as soon as the player runs into them. I want them to be knocked back and then they disappear. Because this is going to be especially the case if I decide to, actually make bosses and whatnot. We probably will, because what is a collectathon without bosses? And the thing is that I want to be able to have enemies just, react to how the player hurts them. Unless they're being squished. If they're being squished, then I can understand if they just sort of go up in a puff of smoke. Making the enemy disappear like that is, that's for that interaction. But in terms of the player charging into the enemy, I do want them to knock them back and then have the enemy die. So, changes that I want to make. So, give health to player. Give lives to player. Have enemy attacks knockback plus damage. Also, I'm amazed how it's probably because I'm seeing a lot more of the rat model now. But you know, being able to draw the head from memory is kind of impressive, actually. Even though it's not that difficult, it's just a very simplistic, shape. Ooh. I decided to eat another sweet. I'm sorry, chat. My greed, my indulgence is getting in the way. Right, there we go. So have an enemy attacks knockback plus damage player. And then conversely on the player side, have charge knock enemies back. And then kill. So just so there's at least a little bit more visual feedback from the player using their charge attack. Knock enemy back, then they die, you know, as they land on the ground. There might be a way of me doing that. Maybe I'd have to do a little bit of tweaking. So give lives to player. Yeah. So give health to player, give life to player, have enemy attacks knockback plus damage player. I'm probably gonna do this half and half. So I'll do knockback first because that's, you know, easy to do on its own, and then damaging the player might be a bit different because I have an arbitrary value on the player, or on the player's attribute set, which, you know, is attached to the player because of their ability system component. I, you know, have damage applied via a gameplay effect, and that would probably be what I do, but at the same time, it's remembering how to exactly do that. So yeah, I will do the knockback from the enemy attacks first, and then I'll just, you know, figure out how we're applying the damage, whether or not we're doing it to some arbitrary value, or if we're actually doing it to the attribute set. Because if we were going to do that, then I would have to change how I'm defining not just change how I'm defining the gameplay tags, but also, I mean, to be fair, attributes are already being defined within code, so that's not a problem. Oh yeah, generally speaking, if there's stuff that I want to do with the player ability tags, which, as I've mentioned before, are the gameplay tags that are related to the player's, like, abilities. As I said, that's mainly going to be used for, like, tutorial purposes and whatnot. I'm going to have to implement them in C++ rather than how I've implemented them within the engine, because if I want stuff in C, if I want that, like, those tags to interact with things in C++, then I need to actually, you know, define those tags within C++ so that they can actually be used in C++. They'd also be usable within, like, blueprints and whatnot, but it's just mainly those. It's mainly within the C++ I'd have to do. So that's something else that I want to do. However, another thing I want to do is in relation to the collectibles. At the moment, we don't really have a proper representation for collectibles. We just have, you know, white cubes that spin around. So what I want to do is I actually want to try and possibly hop onto Blender and start modeling some collectible stuff. So if I go on to sticky notes, I also realize I'm on the wrong tab for this. I'm supposed to be in the tab that I use for Clip Studio. Whoops. Sorry about that. Trying to find where I... Oh wait, no, it wasn't sticky notes. It was an actual file in Clip Studio. Hold on. PSP, was it developed? There was... Damn it, I need to find... Yep, no, I found it. I found the Rat Platformer collectibles. Right, so it would be cheese, and it would also, like, cheese for the main collectible, and for the different types of fruits, I did look at apples, pears, and... Were those peaches or oranges? I can't remember. I wasn't very clear when I was drawing those. But, trying to model at least one or two of these to use in the game, just, like, not just, like, modeling them, but possibly painting the textures as well, so I at least have one thing that I've done the textures for. And it would also give me a little bit of practice with that kind of stuff on a smaller scale compared to, you know, unwrapping and then, like, texturing the player. So, player stuff, that'll happen later down the line, but for today, if I get the chance, I do want to try and do this. So, that's basically the stuff that I'm wanting to try and do today. So, with all that out of the way, because I've been spending about half an hour explaining what it is I want to do today, and I'm sorry that that took so long, but there was quite a bit for me to get through, not just in terms of what we're actually doing, but stuff in relation to that. Enemy stuff. So, I'm gonna go into Rider because in the player... Right. I'm gonna do, like, the player's charge and how it interacts with the enemy first, because that's gonna be probably the easiest thing to get done. So, back to player character. So charge overlap box. It's charge box overlap. Charge box overlap. So execute object charge there. Now, in terms of this, I'm going to have to make notes about this again. So we're going to hop back into Clip Studio. I'm sorry. It's just that I need to carefully visualize things. So at the moment, like, say this is the player, this is, like, visualizing their charge, and we have an enemy. Say we have an enemy right here. At the moment, when the charge box overlaps with the enemy, so say this dotted line is the charge box. We execute the method that's implemented by the enemy. So if memory serves me well, and I am hoping it does, I'm gonna go into... Yep, no, it's within the base enemy class. So we go into the enemy, and within the enemy we have the object charged into implementation. See, this is what I was talking about. So at the moment, when this is called, because as I've said, sure, we charge into the enemy, but we'll have other things that we'll charge into, such as like different objects and whatnot. So enemies may not necessarily be the only thing that we charge into as the player, but this is what I'm thinking about in this case. When this happens, at the moment, destroy enemy. That's all that's happening. I want to do something differently here. So, rather than just completely kill the enemy, I want it to disable whatever, like, interactions that it can have with the player. So, knock them back, like, have their collisions ignore anything to do with the player at all, and then have them be destroyed. This might take a little bit. Now that I think about it, it's actually fairly... It's a bit... It takes a bit, so I'm going to close the engine because we're making changes in the code. So I'm going to... If the Epic launcher wouldn't get in my way, thank you. You know, it's always fun. Always fun when that happens. So, going to comment out that line because we do not need this at the moment. So, what I want to do is, so I'm going to say to do calculate knock back direction and apply force. So, this is the thing that I want to happen, you know, right at the point of impact. This is what I want to happen on impact, rather than just, you know... But at the same time, I want this to happen after, say, the player is, you know, or any interactions with the player has been disabled, because I don't want this to say, oh, we're knocking them back, then we're disabling it, because... What if, I mean, it's very unlikely for this to happen, but what if in such a split second that the overlap happens again? And therefore just applies it twice? It would be silly. Also, from my understanding, bit off topic, I think today was the deadline for the raffle for the Nintendo Switch 2 experience, and I don't know when, you know, the draw will be when the draw will actually happen. I'm just gonna, you know, load that up on my phone while I think. So, what I want to do as well, I need to change, you know, this thing. Okay, that doesn't tell me anything. Right, so it hasn't happened yet. Right, anyway, there is a thing that I need to change with this interface method, and that requires that we go into the charge interface. So I'm going to go to declaration, and of course, object charged into. This is, you know, this is where this is happening. I'm gonna get rid of the player state as well, because I don't need that open, and I don't need the game save data open at the moment. We'll get to that again at another point. But the one thing I need to change is I want, in order to properly calculate the knockback direction, if you remember, I do need not just where the enemy currently is, but also where the player was at the time of the impact. So I'm going to take the... Yeah, no, I need to take it. So F vector, and this is going to be... I'm going to call it initiator location. So this will be called initiator location, because who knows, maybe we'll have other enemies that are capable of charging, and because of that, we'll just say, hey, they can also, like, be the initiator for this event. So I'm essentially kind of future-proofing things in a way, but now we need to say F vector initiator location, and I'm gonna sort of copy this so I can paste it into the definition for this method. And then I'm just going to get rid of the F vector at the front of here, because we only need to pass in the variable, and I did not mean to get rid of that. Then in the player character, now that we've added that parameter to that interface method, not only will it ask for, you know, the object that we're calling this method on, it will also ask us for the parameter, so initiate a location. So here we just simply pass in get actor location. And we're passing in the player's location here. Okay? Cool. So I'm going to quickly recompile, just to make sure things are, you know, not broken. Because as you do, it is tried and true activity of the programmer to make sure that things are working. But yeah, gonna compile that. It will probably take a few moments, because, you know, there we go. Right, so project's back open. It's working. However, I'm also going to quickly borrow thing from the temp spikes. So apply knockback. So to get the direction, we take where the thing is happening from, and we subtract that from the thing that's being knocked back. So in the case of the enemy, we would take the enemy's location, and we would take the, or we would take the target's location and subtract the initiator's current location from that. And then we would normalize that and set Z to... I'll set Z to 1, so we still have, like, a consistent upward, like, pop. Just so the player or whatever, like, the enemy or whatever target of this is being sort of, like, propped upwards. So, basically doing this, and then I'll probably still have a knockback modifier. Actually, there's another thing that I'll need to change then. At the moment, I don't have a knockback modifier for the charge, so... Hold on. Yes, no. Right, so we're going to close the engine again. In the player character, I'm going to go down, go into private, special stretch, wall sliding, ladder climbing. This will be in its own category, even though it's a single variable. New property, edit, anywhere, category, charging. And this will be float, and it will be charge, knockback, modifier. And then we're going to go into the interface. And not only are we going to have that, but we're also going to have a float, and we're going to call this knockback modifier. And then I'm going to have to do this for everywhere where it's implemented again. So, knockback modifier, and then get rid of the float at the start of this, so it's just passing in the parameter. And then here, to be fair, I should have made it so that the default value for this was like 0, so it wasn't mandatory to, you know, pass in a float as a parameter, but oh well. Anyway, we have the charge knockback modifier for this. So, now in the execute object charged into, this may not necessarily always apply, so as I was saying, it may be worthwhile, or what did I just do? Oh, that doesn't look good. I dragged all of that down here. How did I drag all of that down here? That doesn't look... I don't like how that looks with, like, being split horizontally across the screen. So, back in the charge interface, I'm going to say equals 0. Oh, wait. That's not what I meant to do. So, this default value is 0. And just a quick footnote for people who probably may not know this, and it's very likely that you won't know this, but... Oh, sorry. In terms of having value, or having parameters that, you know, have default values by default, you need it. Like, it's not just a case of, oh, this is proper programming practice to put them in a certain place. This is essentially required, and this is a rule enforced by the code library. You have to, like, and I think this applies to most, if not all, programming languages, regardless of whether it's C++ or C# or whatnot. But you have to place, like, default values after all after all parameters that don't have a default value. I'm not sure why, that's just how it works, and, well, that's just how I know, so... But yeah, so if and when we have an object that we can destroy by charging into it, then it won't be redundant. I mean, then again, it's just, we're still passing it in regardless, but, oh well. So we're going to say knockback direction. Then we're going to say trying to think. Normalize. Oh wait, no, it's literally just dot normalize. So we normalize this, then we say knockback direction dot z equals 1 dot f. Oh, I keep. Then we take the knockback direction, we multiply it by the knockback modifier. Though, to be fair, because this may also apply this will definitely apply for the player's projectile, having this within its own method would be useful, like the whole applying knockback. So I will do that right now, rather than later, so I don't forget. So in the protected, we're going to say void apply knockback. So we have apply knockback here, and then we're going to drag what we've just written, and we're going to finish writing it in that method. So I'm going to cut and then say apply knockback instead, because otherwise we'd just be writing the same code in multiple places, and that's not good practice. However, I do need to add parameters, so f vector initiator location load knockback modifier, and then I need to I'll just copy and paste the parameters. And then down here, where is it? There we go. Knockback modifier, so that happens in there instead. So we've got knockback direction time. Oh, I can do times equals. I can do times equals to just resolve this quickly. So we have knockback direction there, then get character movement, add force, and then we take the knockback direction. So right now, I don't want to do the other stuff yet. I'm just going to test this. And I think I'm going to test this on the coward enemy once it stops running away. So this will likely work. This won't break or anything. And if it does, then we'll just sort of quickly correct it. It's taking a while. No, it's not taking a while. It is building like a number of actions, though it is definitely due to the number of changes that I am making. So there we go. Cool. But I'm going to test it on that enemy, considering the fact that it will just stay still. I know one thing that I will want to do, is set a thing. Right, engine is back open again. Oh, wait. There we go. So I'm going to try this, as I said, on the coward enemy. So I'm going to wait for them to get to the end of their path. And because of the changes that I made, they will just run to the end. So we don't have to try and force them to run again, at the very least. So now I'm going to see if this works. Oh, wait. I didn't set the knockback modifier to anything. So at the moment, that's basically... it's taking the knockback direction, and it's essentially, because it's multiplying it by 0, we're just getting 0. So blueprints, player, BP rap player, and I know I could have set it within code, but oh well. So we have got where is my stuff? So TP player character, movement, wall sliding, ladder climbing, charging. Cool. Let's say, let's try a 4. No, let's try a 3. Let's try a 3 modifier, and we're gonna see if this actually works this time. So get it to run. And now my hope is that if we charge into it like this... Okay, odd. You should be launched. Unless there's something I'm missing and I... No, I... Right, so, ad break also starts in a few minutes, chat. So, right, we're going to go back into the code. And going to close the engine. Going to quickly... I'm going to go into apply knockback. Say G engine add debug, add on screen debug message. Let's see, 0 4.f, so 4 seconds, F color red, print F text. And this is just to check whether or not this is being called. I'm not making any sort of like specific, oh, we're checking to see if a knockback of this, like in this direction with this much, like strength, is, well, yeah. Like, being applied. We're just checking whether or not this is being called at all. Right. Engine is open again. Right. So, I'm not going to wait for it to charge. I'm going to Right, applied knockback. Right, it is working. That message is being displayed, so that method is being called. So how I'm doing it is probably the main problem. However, I'm gonna handle that after the ad break because though that is about to start, so I'm gonna throw up the sign, gonna mute myself in a moment, but I will be right back. I won't be too long, so hang tight. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. I got myself some bread. Sorry I was silent for a moment. I was just finishing it off, or still finishing it off. So I'll be taking some moments to do that. However, I'm thinking to myself, or I thought to myself during the ad break, what if I do what I've just been doing for the player and just set the velocity manually rather than trying to apply a force or apply an impulse? Like, maybe apply an impulse would work. So, hold on. I'm going to comment this line out just to use as a backup, but apply add impulse. So effector impulse, so that would be knockback direction. And I'm gonna try this both without and both with and without sort of like using the Boolean parameter for this method. So we're gonna try it without a velocity change first. Right, that is opening now. Now, we're going to get the enemy to where it needs to be. I'm just going to get rid of this for the fun of it. And now let's see if apply impulse works. Okay, apparently not. Where is... That's enemy controller. Where is... Right, that's the coward. Let's check its character movement. And let's check its velocity, because the velocity is the thing I'm interested in, and I want to see if it even changes at all. No, it doesn't. It doesn't change at all. So at the moment, no velocity change. That doesn't work. So now we're going to quickly... Oh, wait, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to quickly close the engine again, and I'm going to say... Okay, thanks, Epic Games Launcher, for unfocusing the window. And we're going to say that it does change the velocity this time. Right. Cool. So now we're going to see how that does. I realize I'm not focused on the engine right now. Whoops. Right. Run! Right. Really? Maybe the modifier's too small? I don't know. Hold on, let me adjust the modifier. Then again, it might be set back to 0 as yeah, so charge. No, it's still free. So let's try 20. This probably won't make a lick of difference, but it's worth a shot. Oh, it did. So, turns out, modifier was too small. So we're gonna do this. Or at the very least, that seems to actually be doing something now. So, go into the rat player, and I'm gonna set it to a nice, fierce 200. So we're going to do that. So, 200 modifier. Yeah, but now I do want it to be larger, so I'm going to say set it to 800, because I would set it to 2000, but that might be a bit too much. So we're going to, get the enemy to run away, get it to its usual spot, and then we're going to try pushing it, or try knocking it back again. So we're going to run into it. Oh! Okay, 800 might be a bit too strong. Good thing I didn't set it. Actually, I want to see what happens if I do set it to 2000, so let's have a little bit of fun here. Let's go for an absolute extreme value. I want to run into you. Oh! Right, we're running to you now too. Whee! Off it goes! Off it goes! Right, this is why you test not just with, like, your low-end values, but also your absolute high-end values, just to see what it can do. Right. 400. 400 might be a nice, well-rounded value to use. Right, let's run into you. Yeah. Though, I could also say, like, in the calculation for things, just... What is it called? Half the Z value once it's been multiplied. So... I could do that, actually, but, we'll do 500. We'll do 500. Because I do want it to be a bit more. So, bump into you. And of course, there's the main issue with charging into the enemy and knocking them back while, not doing anything with the behavior tree logic. They're still going to try and do whatever it is they're doing. So, there is a thing that I'll need to do in order to essentially force them to abort everything that they're doing. So yeah, we're gonna run into you. Yeah, I think that works. That works. I feel like part of it, the reason why it looks a bit too floaty as well, is because unlike the player, the enemy doesn't have like a custom like thing for the gravity that sort of like has like the cartoonish sort of like gravity physics. So another thing to note down is actually adjusting, how their gravity works so that it works basically similarly to the player. But yes, thoughts for later, thoughts for later, thoughts for something to... Thoughts for stuff to do later. So, right now, knockback is working, which is good. Now, what I want to have happen is... there is a way that I'm thinking of handling this. So... of course, I'll need the on-landed, I'll need the on-landed, method, so, if I go into the player character, so, where is, landed? Yeah, landed. And if you can remember, by default, that is a thing with the it's either the pawn or the character class. It's either what. Let me just check. This is. Where is the? I want to go to the. Go to declarational uses. Yeah. Super landed in a character. Yeah, it's in the character class. So we can still use landed here in the enemy class as long as we go into the public section. So landed override, and this is what I'm essentially wanting to do. If I go to, I need to make another private boolean. So bool b is dying, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I may not necessarily want, like, I mean, I can always adjust the logic later down the line so that, if it's not a certain enemy, if it's like a boss, then this doesn't apply to it. Like, it'll be knocked back, but it won't, you know, be set to dying. But then again, this is more so to do on the enemy side. So, for now, for the sake of getting this to work, we'll set the enemy to dying when they're knocked back. So B is dying equals true. And then also, I need to get enemy controller, get blackboard comp, set value as bool. So we need fname. Whoops. So we need an fname, of course. We're going to call this is dying, and we're going to set it to true. And the reason I'm doing this is so we're essentially forcing the enemy out of, like, whatever behavior it was doing at the time, so it's just, you know, not walking towards a given point or, you know, trying to attack the player. It will just sort of stop what it's doing as it's being knocked back. So we do this, and then on landed, I'm gonna say if B is dying, then we're gonna call the destroy enemy method. And then I'll say as a note to do visual effect for enemy death plays here, and then destroy enemy. So with this thing having been changed, this should now work. Although there is something that I will definitely need to change, and that is to do with the fact that in the behavior trees at the moment, to do with the fact that at the moment in the behavior trees there is no boolean within the blackboard that actually right. engine's open again. Right, so I'm going to go into basically the two behavior trees that I'm mainly focusing on, which is the coward enemy and the grounded enemy. So, enemy AI. So, grounded enemy first. We're going to go into the behavior tree, go into the blackboard, and then we're going to say bool. Oh, wait. Actually, I need to make it consistent with the other ones. So, at the moment, in the code, it's named is dying. It should be is dying, so it's consistent with the other ones. So I'm going to set these up in the behavior tree, or in the blackboards for the behavior trees first. And then I'm going to close the engine and then change what I've done. So B is dying. And then, yeah, that's done. So I'm going to go back into the code, close the thing. And then I'm going to add the prefix, the B prefix, you know, I know it isn't necessary in, the blackboards, behavior trees and whatnot, but I do like having the Boolean notations, for, Booleans within, C++, as that. Also, wait. Oh yeah, I am rattling my tablet pen against my mic. Sorry about that, chat. Anyway, now that I've made that change, I'm going to go into the coward enemy, and I'm also going to go into the grounded enemy behavior trees. I'm going to go into both, of course. I'm going to say... I mean, to be fair, I should have made it, a state rather than a Boolean. And I could have done that. Maybe I'll change that later, but for now, this will work as it does. Right, so we're going to have another sequence. And we're going to add a blackboard decorator. And we're going to say both. We're going to have it abort both, so it aborts everything. B is dying. We're going to say, yep, is set. And we're going to call this node is enemy dying. And in order for it to actually properly enter this thing, we're just going to have a wait node, and we're just going to set it to 1 second. And then that's pretty much it. And then the same thing will apply here. So I'm going to... I wanted to move all of it over. So I'm going to move all of the passive state over. And I'm going to move all of the attack state over. And then we're going to essentially do the same thing here. So sequence, decorator, blackboard base condition is... So I called it is enemy dying. So is enemy dying. And we're going to say B is dying is set. And again, we're going to abort both on result change. And then we're just going to have a wait node and set that to a 1 second wait time. Cool. So, the reason why this is important, because if I say, for example, the coward enemy decides to run away and I charge into it, it's no longer... Yep, and it dies. So it's no longer going to be following its path that it was following. And then also... Yeah, no, it will just sort of die as it lands on the ground. So the same can be said if we have, you know, the grounded the other grounded enemy charge into us. We're gonna knock it back, and then it dies. I think I do actually need to tune the knockback a little bit, because I feel like it's a bit different when it's... I also feel like having it be a velocity change may not be necessary. And I think that actually may cause problems. So I'm probably going to adjust that. So, but yes, enemies will now be knocked back when they're charged into. They will die when they land. However, of course, this won't apply to it. Attempted to act as BP projectile, but BP projectile is not valid. It's only acting projectile. Access none. Okay, that's... I think... Okay, so I think what happened is that stuff suddenly happened as I was charging into the enemy, and because of that, things weren't being fulfilled. I don't think it's game-breaking, because if it was game-breaking, it would have crashed the game, but it's concerning. So, something to keep in mind. But yes, that bit is done. So if I go into Clip Studio, go into my little list. That is done. So took a bit longer than I thought it would, because of all the changes that we had to make. And that was, you know, kind of in a way me underestimating things. But yes, next is having enemy attacks apply knockback and damage to the player. So I trapped myself by eating another sweet. I'm sorry, chat. This is going to take a moment. Right. So, sweet gone. I can now focus again. So, the only real thing that needs to happen at the moment is something to do with just the projectile. So, let me think. Because as far as I'm aware, so projectiles, the enemy and the player both use the same projectile. So, honestly, if I was to make this change... So, owning actor... Alright, so owning actor, I remember now. Owning actor is defined within the class. And if I go into the code for this, so in base projectile, so we have set owning actor when it's spawned. Oh, whoops, I accidentally unplugged my headset. Whoops. Whoops. I can't listen to music without that. Right, so, now I remember, so, it's at attack. So handle player throw, that's it. So so handle player throw. So set owning actor, yeah. So in this case, set owning actor is called. And then if I go back into the engine and go into the grounded enemy where they're attacking, so temp attack is what it's called at the moment. Fire projectile is this method that we made here. Set owning actor is set. So in a way, we kind of already have a lot of what we need to, you know, apply knockback to a thing. So if we go into the projectile, like, most of what we would need to do would mostly be involved with component begin overlap, applied damage. So as of now, I'm just using the applied damage thing. So if I go into where the player is, so back into Rider, and then take damage. So interfaces do I have? I have charge interface. The player we have the character interface. Right, they also have take damage, so the thing I'm thinking of is let me think. My brain is taking a moment. Because of course I want to be able to apply knockback on, like, in either event, so whether it's being fired at, like, the enemy and we're applying knockback to the enemy before they die, or if we're right. To be fair, having a suite is kind of like trying to reset my brain a little bit. So oh wait, no, actually, so damage causer. Ooh, wait. But then, if I was trying to use take damage on another thing, then... So I don't want to have to make arbitrary checks to essentially say, oh, we're going to cast this thing to a projectile. If this is a projectile, we're going to get its, like, knockback modifier and then apply the knockback there, and so on and so forth. What I'd rather do is... I'd rather make another interface for this type of thing. And I think I'll just make a general damage interface. I know we have, like, the charge interface, we have the stomp interface. Those are for specific things. A damage interface would more so be a general use kind of thing. So, I'm going to go back into the engine. And we're going to go down here. And I'm going to go into... Oh, wait. The song ended. Oh, shit. Oh, wait, Wizard Peak's a good one. Never mind, Ice Cavern's good. Right, public, and this is going to be an interaction thing again. To be fair, I'm surprised I didn't put stomp interface in here. That's kind of odd. But then again, I made this folder long after the fact, so not too much I can do there, but, oh well. So we're going to make it another Unreal interface. We're going to make it EP damage interface. Create. I'm not going to recompile because we don't want to do that yet. Oh, sorry. Right. Then we're going to close the project again. And this should appear soon, I hope. Oh wait, no. Oh wait, that's the wrong place. Yep, there we go. The damage interface. And we only need this one open, you know, as usual. So, what we want, of course, is the usual U property, so or the U function. So we're gonna grab the U function macro, which is blueprint native, blueprint callable, and this is gonna be a void. And we're going to call this damage entity. Oh wait, hold on. Actually, damage character. We're gonna call it damage character because because character can just be used as like the blanket term for damaging like an enemy character or damaging the player character, because they both derive from the character class in a sense. So damage character would be good. So I'm gonna say a actor pointer damage causer float knockback modifier equals 0, so it has a default value. Trying to think if there's anything else I may need, but as far as that goes, that should work. So if I go into... Right, where is the base projectile TP? Where is it? Oh yeah, base projectile H, base projectile CPP. Okay, nothing actually does happen aside from setting up the projectile movement component. Okay. Cool. So, I don't actually need this open for anything else. So, we're gonna go in here and we're going to implement the damage interface. So, public ITP damage interface. Wait, hold on. Wait, I already made the damage into... Hold on. Wait, then what did I use the TP damage interface for? Damage hit. Find usages. Usages of damage hit were not found. I already had created this interface well ahead of time. But I just forgot about it and never used it. Okay, so I'm going to use this one regardless of that other one existing. I'll probably get rid of it. But we're going to use this one. I didn't realize it existed, so public ITP damage interface. And then we're going to say, where is the damage character implementation override. And then this also needs to be added to the player as well. So public ITP damage interface. And we're going to say damage character, and we're going to do the thing. Right. So I know the implementation is essentially going to be the same between the two, but again, there is the added difference of if it's on like a regular enemy that's not a boss, then it will probably die as soon as it lands on the ground. So first we're going to get the direction. So F vector, knock back, direction. So we're going to get actor location. We're going to subtract the damage causer dot get actor location from it to get the direction. Then knockback direction dot normalize. I don't know if I need to actually say knockback direction equals knockback direction dot normalize. Yeah, no, this is redundant. So knockback direction dot normalize. We're going to say knockback direction dot z equals 1. And then we'll say knockback direction times equal knockback modifier. And then I'm gonna say get character movement, and then apply, no, add impulse. I'm gonna say knockback direction. This time I'm not gonna do it as a velocity change because I feel like I don't know if it necessarily is because I made it a velocity change or not, but it is exceedingly powerful. More powerful than I thought it would be. So yeah, that's that on that side. And to be fair, I could also, like, if I needed to use this multiple times throughout the player character, make a method within the player character for applying knockback. Wait, I should have. I do not. Oh, wait, no, 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 no. I have that in the logic for the spikes. That's what I'm doing. Which really... Whew. Now that I think about it, I shouldn't be handling it via the spikes, because that should be handled within the player itself? Hmm. But yes, I'll probably do that later down the line. So... same... Actually, in the enemy, because we already have the, I also no longer need this because I know that it's working now, so... Gonna get rid of that. See how it feels without that. Ooh, there we go. Right. So... now I'm going to compile, and now the only thing that we really need to do now, or the only two things that we really need to do now at this point, are we need to replace the applied damage call within the projectile with the damage character interface message, which of course is, you know, very easy. And then the other thing we need to do, which is literally just a small change, we just need to add a knockback modifier value. Oh gosh. Okay, right. So, we're going to say damage, character. We're going to get rid of apply damage. Damage causer is, of course, self. And then the target is the other actor. And of course, this is only applicable, like, you know, the other actor is not the owning actor. And of course, this only happens if the interface is implemented. So if it doesn't implement the interface, then this isn't called. And then we need a knockback modifier. So we're just going to add a variable. Oh wait, no, actually, I should have added this within the code when before I recompiled. Whoops. We're going to go back into Rider. We're going to, I'm going to make sure this is saved before I close it, because otherwise if I closed it before I saved it, then I'd have to make those small changes again. We're going to go into the projectile, the base projectile. I'm going to go view property, edit anywhere, float, knockback modifier. Oh wait, I need blueprint read only. And then meta equals allow private access equals true. And the reason why I need this is because if I didn't have these two things, then we wouldn't be able to get this variable within the blueprint. It would just exist, but we wouldn't be able to, like, it would exist on the class, but we wouldn't be able to actually use it in, like, blueprint calls or anything like that. So this was kind of necessary. Right. Oh yeah, engine's open. Whoops. Sorry about that. Okay. Now go into the projectile, and now we get projectile. No. Knockback. Get knockback modifier. We do this. Wait, applying. What's this? Oh, that's the player character. Oh, wait. So I'm gonna say 300. I'm gonna say 300 as a modifier. So I'm gonna first test it on the coward enemy, because that would be the easiest thing to test it on from the player side. So run away, get into your position, and then I'm going to throw this projectile at you. Okay, now I'm gonna see if... I'm gonna try applying 2000 to it. And if it really is a matter of having that as the, like, setting the velocity change, then I will need to go back and, you know, re-enable it. Ah! I have no idea what happened there. Okay, I think... Looking at it now, velocity change is necessary, so... Close that. I'm going to close the damage interface. And apply knockback. Where did I throw you? Yep, add impulse. This needs to be true. And then it needs to be true on the player side too. So, there. So, learning that it is kind of necessary to have the velocity change made. Good thing to know, good thing to learn. Right, and I'm going to reopen this because I don't want the knockback modifier being too high, so I'm going to say maybe a 500. A solid 500 might be nice. I forgot to refocus it on the engine. Whoops! There we go. So that works for that. Now I want to see how it works with... Oh! Right, so as I said, I wasn't wrong in the notion that the enemies are a lot floatier compared to the player because of their lack of a custom character movement component. So it might... I mean, to be fair, I didn't make the custom character movement component for only the player. I didn't name it player character movement component. I just called it the custom character move. And for all intents and purposes, it can just be used by the enemies as well. If I just, you know, go into where the, like the enemies, like, character movement component values are in their blueprints, and then just say, oh, hey, use this one instead. Because then they'll just have the same gravity as the player, and I think it, like, you know, consistency-wise, it would be nice. So, but anyway, knocking the player back, that's one thing done. Another thing is health. So... Okay, so... I'll figure out how to make sure that these errors don't keep appearing. during the outbreak, because that's literally starting in about 20 seconds. I'm sorry I didn't mention anything sooner. I was focused on making sure this was working. So I'm going to throw up the old sign. Gonna mute myself in a moment, but I will be right back. So hang tight, stay right there, and I will be right back. Right, and we're back. Okay, so the one thing I thought of was because as far as I'm aware, it is trying to set velocity, and I think because of how quickly the projectile is being destroyed sometimes, it's trying to... It's trying to do everything immediate, like, it's trying to do, of course it's trying to do everything immediately after it's being spawned, but I think because of how quickly it's being destroyed sometimes, it doesn't get the chance to do all of that, and the projectile just becomes invalid in those function calls. So the one thing that I have thought of as a solution, of course I probably actually need to set this before the set owning actor call. So I'm going to move set owning actor here, and I'm going to connect it to the set velocity, is I'm going to check if it's still valid. So I'm going to check if it's still valid. And I might add a slight delay. So, delay. I don't think you can actually have delays within a behavior tree task. That's not what I want. Okay, you can't delay. Right. Cool. But I'm gonna check if this is still valid. If this actor is still valid. And if it isn't, then it just won't... Oh wait, actually, if it isn't, then it just sort of return, it just goes to the return node. I needed to make sure that was all set up, because otherwise it would just be stuck in that method. I'd rather, or in that behavior tree task, it wouldn't finish. So I'd rather have that set up like that. So I'm going to stand very close to the enemy. And as far as I'm aware, no errors are being flagged. So cool. I'm going to go back into Clip Studio. And we've done oh wait, where is my tablet? There it is. Whoops. I lost it. So knockback is done. Damage needs to be done, but that requires give health and give lives. I'm surprised I didn't do this first, but that's because I'm trying to figure out whether or not I would have lives be in the attribute set, or if I would just have that on the player state. And I feel like it would be the same thing as, you know, number of collected collectibles and the collectible data itself, where that will be saved on the player state. So maybe I'll do that. In terms of health, I think health might still be, you know, in the attribute set. I'm not sure. Who knows? So, first things first. Code. We're going to go back into the code again. Close the engine, because we don't need it open, because we know now that that works. Close all of these, because we're working on something different. And before I forget, important medication stuff, because I need to make sure that I do that. And also, apparently, we've lost, like, some frames. Though, it was, like, really, like, literally just, like, the smallest number of frames in OBS, but... And I had to make sure that, you know, there wasn't any problems with my internet or anything, but apparently, no, it's fine. It's perfectly fine, so I don't know what's going on there. It's being a bit weird, I suppose. And then, yeah, but I don't know what was going on there, so... Right. Player state. That's what I need. I need the player state. So... Right. So... having the player state open now, so what we want is, of course, we want lives, and I don't want that to be part of an attribute set, because an attribute set is loaded up every single time, you know, or an attribute set is initial, yeah, it is loaded up every single time this thing is made. So, so I'm going to say U property edit defaults only. I don't want it to be edit anywhere. I want it to be edit defaults only. And I'm going to say int 32 lives count. So we've got our lives count. And then, of course, to do go into attribute set and add hit points. So do that there. Next, I want a... Actually, in this case, this is probably one of those instances where I want to set lives outside, like, with a method that can be called outside of this class. Maybe, I'm not too sure. Or I would have maybe... Oh, wait, I'd have probably an interface for this, so... Oh, sorry, right. Right, so I'm gonna go open the engine again. Right. Right. Cool. Engine's open. Need to make another interface. So, I'm not sure if I would call this like an interaction thing. I guess in a way this would be a player thing. So, I'm going to say new class. Unreal interface. And we're going to say BP lives interface. Make this. Not recompile. Go back into Rider. Whoops. And that is there now. So, gonna close the engine, and we're going to open our new interface. Where is it? There we go. Lives interface. And I know it's kind of pointless for like having a singular method, but this is better than just, you know, trying to force, like it's again being agnostic and all that and whatnot. So right. So new function. Just double check it's blueprint native, and then blueprint callable. Set current lives int 32. And I'm going to call the parameter life amount because it could be 1 or it could be -1. For example, by default. So that current lives implementation life amount override. And then we just say well, to be fair, we just get rid of this. There's no base implementation for it, so cool. So we're gonna say life amount. Oh wait, lives count plus equals life amount, because it doesn't matter if it's like a positive value or a negative value. If you're just adding it, then you're still subtracting it. If it's like a -1, you're still minusing -1. If you were to say -1, you'd just be making it a positive. So yeah, so lives exist now, kind of. Not necessarily in like, you know, the absolute, oh, the player dies, they lose a life, they respawn, la-di-da-di-da, but it's there. And now, the next thing we need to do is add the health. So, the thing with the health is that it will require us going into the attribute set. So, is it in data? No, it's in ability system. I already did this. Way ahead of time. Okay, cool. Though, I keep doing this. um. Right. Right. So in terms of how the health is done, or how I did it long ago, it definitely means that I would need to, like, if I was damaging the player, I would need to apply it as a gameplay effect. But applying gameplay effects is something that I need to refresh my memory on, because I need to remember. Ugh! And I'd have to do that another time, because that would involve going into the other project that I'm learning with, and hold on, let me actually see if I can find how this is done. I'm gonna go into it. I'm gonna see if I can just dive into it and get the shit that I need from there. Sorry about this, chat. This is gonna take a few moments. Unreal projects, the thing I'm learning from. JetBrains Rider. Oh wait. But I'm gonna throw it on my other monitor. Gameplay effects. Ah! Interface, player state, ability system. This is for each of those. Set effect properties. Why do I not remember? It's all good. It's all good, but it is kind of annoying. Let's see. Character actor. Alright, so that's there. So, apply effect to target would be kind of what I'm looking for in this other project. Let me look. So... Right. This is called when overlapping with a thing at the moment. So, ability system component. Check gameplay effect class. Make effect context. Source object. Okay, I think I just about remember how it's done. Looking at this. Also, right. So, right, I'm gonna go in. Can I make this? I mean, to be fair, I could just set it to, like, rather than 40, I could just say 1 or 3 or 5. 5, and then 5. And while it's not ideal, it should work. So we're gonna compile and open the project. And I'm gonna keep this other thing, like, it's minimized at the moment on my other monitor, but I'm gonna keep it there just to, you know, reference, because need to actually remember how to do stuff. So gosh. So we're gonna wait for that to compile, and right. Engines open. So if I go into game, blueprints, gameplay effects, combat, applied damage, that was what I made. So modifiers, health, add. I did do it as minor. Look at me doing, you know, inadvertently doing things ahead of time. Look at me go! Righty-ho, righty-ho, right. So, as I said, inadvertently did this ahead of time. So, the thing I'm thinking of is that... Oh, wait. Let me think. Ah! It's in my head. To be fair, I also need to know how to apply a gate. Like, like, the logic within that code is actually showing, like, but it's calling. It's, right. Gonna close the editor again. And this is going to take some time, and I apologize. But I'm going to load up the... Okay, there we go. I have no idea what happened there. For some reason, there was I think I must have lent on, like, the cable for my mic or something. I have no idea how long I was talking and nothing was happening for. I have no idea. And I'm hoping it wasn't, you know, a long time, otherwise that would be very upsetting. But yeah, so the method that I found within the code is called from the thing, and then the actual, right, so now I know, I can actually work with this. Cool. So I'm going to close this other project. I'm still going to keep the other project's code on my other monitor minimized for now, and then, you know, take a peek at it when I need to. I'm going to go into the projectile. Where is base projectile? I'm going to go into the H file. I'm going to go into view property. I don't know why I'm shoving this at the top. This is a weird place to put it, rather than, you know, at the bottom of everything else, but... And this is going to be a T subclass of... So... So we're gonna... So edit anywhere... Or it can be a protected. I'll make it a protected. Because you can make a protected variable. So edit anywhere, blueprint read not blueprint callable, blueprint read only, and this is going to be a T subclass of and I need to look if I forward declared it. I did. So go to the top here, forward declare a U gameplay effect. And we're going to basically just say the subclass of U gameplay effect, and we're going to call this damage gameplay effect. And then we're also going to go into the protected section, and we're going to make a method for this. So it's going to be U function blueprint callable, and then we're going to say void apply gameplay effect to target. We're going to say a actor pointer target actor, and then the subclass of U gameplay effect class, and yeah, so that's the signature for that function done. So what is next is actually structuring this. So we need to... Oh, wait. I did not mean to click up there. First, we need to get the ability system component belonging to that object. So U ability system component pointer target ASC. And this is going to be equal to U ability system... Oh, whoops, I did not mean to put a breakpoint in the code there. So, I'm going to throw in, include ability system blueprint library. So, U ability system blueprint library. And we're going to get ability system component from the target actor. So, for all intents and purposes, this would be the player, or the enemy. And then if... Why does it keep shoving things up like that when I click back on here? I have no idea. So if the target ASC is a null pointer, if it's not valid, then we're just going to return. We're not going to do anything else here. We don't want to try and access anything that, you know, doesn't work. Then we're going to do a check for the gameplay effect class. So the value that's passed in here. And the reason we do that is because if this is empty, then we just want to force a crash. We don't want things to carry on, because otherwise it would cause some weird things to happen. So we're going to force a crash if this doesn't, you know, have a value. So f gameplay effect context handle. So we're making a context handle for this, or a handle for the gameplay effect context. So we're going to call this effect context handle. And then it's just going to be equal to target ASC, and it's going to make an effect context. So next thing we do is that we add a source object. So we add, you know, the object that this effect originates from. So in this case, it will be this projectile. So this projectile basically serves as the source of this gameplay effect context, or this gameplay effect. So it's being added to that list. So yes. Anyway, after that, we create an f gameplay effect spec handle. And then to do this, we just do something similar. We take target ASC, and then we make an outgoing gameplay effect spec. So we take the gameplay effect class, so that thing that we've passed in. I'm just going to say 1, because there are levels to these gameplay effects, but I'm just going to say 1. And then we already have our effect context handle, so we're throwing in that as well for the spec handle. And then const f active gameplay effect handle. So we create another handle, but this is for the, you know, the actual active effect. So active effect handle. And we are just going to take the target ASC, apply gameplay effect spec to self, and then we dereference this by taking the effect spec handle, and then this serves as a wrapper for like the actual effect spec and the data that's contained and whatnot. So we get the data, and in order to properly get this, we use get, and that gets the actual like pointer or reference to that gameplay effect spec stored within the handle. But then we dereference it so we can actually, you know, get that gameplay effect spec. It's honestly quite a lot. You don't necessarily need to know this if you're not getting into this kind of stuff, but it is useful to sort of hear me ramble on about it, because not only am I trying to teach, but in a way, but also I'm trying to reinforce things for myself. So yes, so this, for all intents and purposes, from the projectile, will apply a gameplay effect to the player when it hits, or to an enemy when it hits it, but that's only if the enemy has a target ASC. Now, the one thing that I want to check with the attribute set is, so on rep health, so I'm going to say UE underscore log temp warning text. I'm going to say old health and %F, and then new health, and that's %F. I'm using the formatting specifiers for this stuff. It's going to be old health. It's also log temp. Something feels off. Why is it not? I'm gonna try compiling, and if it breaks, then I might. Then I think this is not going to work. We'll see what happens. We'll just give it a moment. Again, it doesn't take too long to find out whether or not it's broken. Oh wait, no, it... Hold on. Oh wait, too many arguments for function like my... Oh. Really? Hold on, did I... Yeah, UE underscore log. Okay, so that's what it normally looks like anyway, so why was it saying... Oh, I have no idea. This should work better now. So Twitch, then compile, and now we wait. Really? Non-portable use of F gameplay attribute data as arguments variadic fun. Where the fuck are you talking about that? Oh. Oh. No, that's what that means. Okay. That's what that means. That's what that means. I now know what that means. It's because I was completely ignoring the fact that this is gameplay attribute data, not, you know, an actual float or something like that. Now, if I go into the projectile, So, applied damage, that is the effect that we're passing in here, and then target actor is our other actor. So we're gonna just link that up there. Okay, so now we're going to see if this works. I did not switch over to the engine. Whoops. At the very least, I didn't do everything and then realize, oh, I forgot. Anyway, okay, nothing happening? Odd. So I'm going to go back into the code. Cool. Slight change, but we are just doing it all the same. Right. Let's try this again. Right, so it's not picking up. It might be because... Hold on. Right, so I'm going to close the project again. I'm going to open the other project. I need to double check what it's actually getting. Because this is kind of concerning, actually. Right, so I'm going to go back into the code on here for the time being. So, gonna reopen the asset editor. Actor. There might be something. I might be missing something in terms of how to set things up. So, player controller. Let me think. So, player controller has the player state. The player state has the ability system component and the attribute set, which is a T object pointer. There's something I'm probably missing in terms of... Let me look at how it's set up in the other project, just to refresh my memory. So, player state, that's the wrong folder. time replicate props. I mean, I don't have a thing that gets the ability system component, so that's probably one thing. Oh wait, no, I do. Const override. That's near the top. Yep. Let's see. In the player, it might be. State. That, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, and get rid of that. That is... So, in the... Okay, level init ability actor info. Oh yeah, init ability actor info. So... Player state... Do I actually have this within my player character class? Because if I have forgotten this one thing, I won't be too upset, but I'll be a little bit frustrated that I forgot this. So, TP... I'm going to get rid of the base projectile for now, because I think I've done what I need to do with that. So, init. So, TP player state. Get player state. Init ability actor info. Attribute set. TP player controller. So if init overlay, but that's only for like the overlay class. So TP player state. So check. This would crash if this was not. But where is... Do we actually call this? So... Do not. And then in... Okay, right, so I've got player state. Do I have possessed by? I do have possessed by, but I never actually added in the ability actor info. So I was missing that. I was missing those function calls. So init ability actor info. Cool. And possessed by just essentially means, oh, when the this character is possessed by its controller, whatever is, you know, meant to happen here just happens here when it's possessed. So in this case, when the player is possessed by the player controller, we're just going to initialize the ability actor info. So that means the ability system component, the player state, and everything. So I'm surprised I completely forgot about this. So that was kind of silly. Kind of silly. Not, you know, immensely, like, devastating or, like, an absolute disastrous blunder, but, you know, it's a bit silly. So we're going to compile and, you know, get this all smoothed over. We're going to make sure that this does work. There we go. Cool. Right. Engine is open again. Now, with luck, this shouldn't crash because we have everything we... No! That was different. There we go. Right. So now, let's see... Gosh. Ah! Also, ad break starts in a few minutes. Chat. So it's Hilda show debug ability system. Okay, that doesn't help. So the... Okay, just a moment. Right, so... It is finding the ability system component. But now, for some reason, nothing's happening with an attribute set. Right, so I'm gonna close the engine. Find the... That's the CPP file, the H. I don't think... Did I ever define anything that was needed here? Hold on, so... Ah, right. Okay, there's important things I'm missing. Right, so, ad break is starting soon. I realize there is another thing that I've never set up, and it's stuff with the ability system component. So, I'm going to get on with that after the ad break. So, I feel like I'm not actually going to get to set up those models, and that kind of upsets me. But at the same time, it's stuff that I can do possibly for Game Dev Sunday next week or during the week, but I'll most likely be focusing on editing, so not this week. So anyway, be right back. Ad break starts now. Where is my... There we go. And we're back. Take the sign down. Cool. So, the one thing that I'm missing, as I said, was actually defining things for the ability system component within the code. Because at the moment, it just kind of exists. And doesn't have any of the things that are kind of needed for it. So... Okay, water drunk. No, not water, like squash, but you know what I mean. So I need the H. I'm gonna close these for the time being. I don't need the lives interface open. And I need the CPP. So, gosh, I hate when my throat gets all like, ugh. Right. Okay, cool. So we need a public, we need a protected. Private if it's ever needed, and another public section because I do like keeping things separate most of the time. So, we're gonna need void ability actor info set, which is of course called when, you know, the ability actor info is set. So include core minimal, and then above here, I'm going to declare a single parameter multicast delegate. So declare multicast delegate 1 param and this delegate's name is going to be f effect asset tags, and the parameter that it takes is going to be f gameplay tag container, and this is going to be a reference, and this is simply just going to be the asset tags that we pass into this. So we have ability actor info set, then we define a variable with this delegate so that we can bind to it. So effect asset tags, and I also realize the song's stopped now, so if I go... Can't remember what Dry Canyon sounds like. Okay, kind of groovy. I forgot about this one. So, so we have delegate value that we can bind to, and then in the protected section, we're going to have void effect applied, and we're going to take in a U ability system component pointer. We'll call it ASC. I'm gonna call it. Going to have a parameter, a const parameter, and it's going to be the f gameplay effect spec pointer, and this is just going to be called effect spec. And then we're going to have an f active gameplay effect handle, and this is the handle for the active gameplay effect, and this is just going to be called effect handle. And this is relatively simple. Okay, so I'm going to generate the definition for that. Then in the actual CPP, we're going to say on gameplay effect applied delegate to self. We're going to add a U object, not a U function, a U object. I didn't mean to do that. We're going to say this, and we're going to add we're going to bind the effect applied method to this. So when this is Oh wait, UTP base ability so effect. I was reading from the other project's code, and I almost wrote down the bloody name of the class in that project, which, you know, my bad. Whoops. Anyway, in effect applied, we say f gameplay tag container. It's going to be called tag container with a lowercase. I don't want an uppercase. I'm going to say effect spec dot get all asset tags, and we're going to throw it into this tag container. And then effect asset tags dot broadcast, and we're going to broadcast it with this tag container. And this is essentially, we're broadcasting to anything that has, you know, this, or that has been bound to this delegate. So anything that is bound to this multicast delegate will now have their respective like method that's bound to it called, with this as a parameter. We don't truly need that right now, but this is essentially like a little bit of a step. So now I need to remember where to call ability actor info set. Okay, so it's in the player character. Gosh. Red Bull, right. Anyway, so once again, we're going back to init ability actor info. And we're going to say cast. We're going to cast it to a UTP base ability system component. And from TP player state, get ability system component, ability actor info. Wait. What do I... Wait, huh? TP base ability system component. Oh wait, hold on. Oh wait, no, I'm silly. Whoop, 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 whoop. I was trying to do that inside of here. I'm casting it and then I'm calling this method. Okay, so ability actor info set. And now that should set things up properly. Although later down the line, we may want to like set default attributes. So to do optional set default attribute values. And as I said, we may want this, we may not want this. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, that should all be sorted now. We're going to call, or no, we're going to compile. Right. Right. Project is open. Right. So this should all be working. Never mind, it crashed. Exception access violation reading. So this is multicast delegate base. Ability actor info set. Really? What? Okay, so exception access violation, delegate access handler base, F not thread safe delegate mode, and that is multicast delegate base, add delegate instance, delegate base 276. So I'm gonna editor ability actor info set. So what is going? So ability actor info set on gameplay effect add view object. So I was I was following what I had done in that other project, or what I had learned in that other project. So on gameplay effect, applied delegate to self. What am I missing? I mean, your gameplay tags is probably... Oh. Oh wait, no, actually. Let me think. So... Ability actor info set. And then that's called in the player character. Get ability system component. Init ability actor info. Right. Let me think. There might be something I've also missed in terms of setting things in the player state. Oh, hi, Flair. It's going pretty good. Trying to fix things as normal. Making changes, testing things, finding things that are breaking, and then fixing things as usual. Let me think. In blueprints... Wait, actually, game... Player state is there. Which means... Open the full blueprint editor. It's the ability system component. Now, if I look at the... oh, gosh. If I look at the other project and see... So, create... I'm not making any sense. Right, so in the code... the player state, in the C++ file, we have says replicated, and I'm comparing the two. What am I missing? The player state H. Where is you? T object pointer, visible anywhere. How do I get ability system components? Let's see. So, lifetime replicate props. Get ability system component. So where is it set in that project? I'm gonna close the engine. I'm gonna open that other project because I need to look into some things again. Because there is definitely something that I've missed. I feel like a lot of the issues have been I have missed something. I have found that thing. I have made changes based on that thing I missed, and now all of that sort of daisy chaining along different problems and finding out the fixes and what could have possibly caused them has led to this. So we've got blueprints. Alright, blueprints. How does it do it? Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, definitely. Basically, pretty much. So there was a thing I was missing. So at the moment it's visible. Oh, wait. So new ability system component. How has it become... BP... Which is... So if I go into the prototype, if I go into the H... U property... That's why. That is why. I found it. I bloody found it. I'm not able to set what it is. And now we wait. Yep. Nice. Now, third time's a charm, right? Game, blueprints, player state, open the thingamajig. There we go, and then we want this thing. Cool. Right. Now with luck, this shouldn't crash. It didn't crash. Okay. Yippee! Right, last time I was trying this stuff, it was crashing. And it's not crashing. So if we get the thing, it's gonna... Okay, so the ability system component is found. But it's not... Wait, hold on. Let me actually... Whoops. So, tilde, show, debug, ability, system. Okay, so the attribute set's still not being set. Okay, so am I missing anything else? Which is always possible. Always possible. Attribute set. T object pointer. Attribute set. Attribute set. So get attribute set. Of course, that exists. Then in the player state, attribute set is create default sub object. Close the engine for the time being so I can figure things out. Again, So let's see. Go into the other project again, so I can take a little look-see. Let me compare the two. So in terms of the variables, these two match with the others. 32 level on map. Get attribute set. Get. Then get lifetime replicate props. Might be it. I think I'm missing that too. Hold on. Right, virtual void get lifetime replicate props. Because I think things do need to be replicated on this end too. So go into the player state. Call the super on this, and then... Oh wait, no, that's only on the... Never mind. That's only for a thing specific for that project. Ah! Right. Just trying to find where every point of reference for the attribute set, because that's the main thing that's not being set up. First gameplay, pre-attribute change. Close that, close that, close that, close that thing on the... There we go. So that's setting up the attributes. Get lifetime replicator props. Set effect properties. This other thing is taking a bit of time. Well, it's not all too bad, to be fair. I'm getting closer to figuring out what the hell's going on with this thing. It's just following the thing step by step, and then eventually getting there. At the very least, the project's not gonna crash when I even hit play when I was trying to access the stuff. But, right. This other thing sure is taking its time, though. No. Right. Let me double check. So... Oh, wait, I did not mean to minimize that. I meant to click on the other thing. Right. So... Ability actor info attribute set equals... I swear to God. The thing wasn't taking nearly as long to... I just want to check some things on that other project, man. Oh, gosh. I need to check wherever this... During the player, it's... TP player state... Oh. Oh, okay. You... So how did... I think I might know what I did. This might have been when I was setting things up way back when, and I didn't, you know... And then I made the player state first, and then made the attribute set. But then I forgot to change the... I forgot to change the attribute set being initialized to the TP attribute set. So... we're just going to include that right there, okay? I don't need to load that other project up anymore. I think I found the problem. I found my solution. Now, with luck, this should be solved. Basically, my magic runes stored in the magic rock I'm shoving bottled lightning through had a small... Basically, yes. The thing that I needed was not the thing I was making. And therefore, I had to reset everything up. So I could actually make the thing I needed. But now... hopefully this should work, because, I've been trying to, like, this... I wanted to get this done, like, a while ago, because the one thing I wanted to try and do, like, as part of my little plan, if I go back to Clip Studio, like, aside from, you know, adding health lives and having, like, damage interactions with the player now, I wanted to try and go into Blender and start, you know, modeling collectibles and stuff, like, before I stop today. But this bit has taken so long to do. So I may need to reserve this for next week's game dev stream, or, you know, do it during the week. I'm not too sure, but I was looking forward to it, because, you know, I want to actually represent collectibles with a thing instead of two blank white cubes spinning around on the spot, and also floating up and down. Not forgetting to mention, oh, they're not floating up and down yet, but they're spinning on the spot. They are definitely spinning on the spot, though. I still need to sort that out. Wait, hold on. So if I go into show debug ability system. Wait a minute. Wait. Let's go! It's actually doing it now! Right, so I'm not getting the thing within the, but we are actually... It might have been difficult to see because I'm not actually pointing things out, so I'm going to go into show debug ability system. Okay, so... so this shows stuff that's going on with, like, the whole Unreal's, like, gameplay ability system. And specifically for the player, this will show stuff within the attribute set that's being used. So at the moment, in the attribute set for the player, there's only two things. Health and max health. And of course, max health will be used like, oh, if the player gets heals and stuff, then if they try and go above, like, the max amount, then it just won't do anything. That's the important thing. However, the main thing I want to focus on is health, because with the projectiles... if I'm gonna go over things again, just so I can explain a thingamajiggy. Projectiles. Also, sorry for the brief little flashes. The engine's kind of weird. BP projectile, when the projectile hits like an enemy or the player, because it handles things from both sides, because I managed to do that, which is pretty cool, it will apply a gameplay effect to the target that it hits. And this takes in the target actor, which is the thing that it hits, and also the damage gameplay effect. This is the gameplay effect applied damage, and if I go into gameplay effects, combat, and applied damage, simply put, applied damage is we're going to target the health attribute on that attribute set. We're going to add to it, but in this case, we're going to add -1, so we're subtracting it. And then going into the code for the projectile, so I can briefly sort of skim over stuff again, even though not everyone will necessarily get what I've done here, because, you know, it's a lot. But if I go into the CPP file for the projectile, basically, first we get the target ability system component that's on that object. So in the case of the enemy attacking the player, and when the projectile hits the player, we're checking the player character to see if they have an ability system component. If it doesn't exist, then we just don't do anything else. But if it does, we already have this text appearing, because I was using this to check whether or not this bit was working at the very least. We check whether or not the gameplay effect class that's been passed in. So, as I said, it's the applied damage gameplay effect. We check if this has a value. If it's not, then it will crash. If it doesn't have a value, it will crash. And we're forcing a crash, basically. We make a context handle by making an effect context with the ability system component. We add this projectile as the source object, so this is the object that's applying the gameplay effect. Then we make an effect spec handle, and then we just apply gameplay effect spec to like the target ability system. And then in the ability system component, effect applied was added as a delegate when this has an effect applied to itself. So in doing that from the projectile, we're triggering this, and then we just get the... this is only if we want anything extra to happen afterwards. This is just kind of like a little bit of a formality, but besides the point, with that gameplay effect being applied successfully to the player, their health will go down. So if you keep an eye on where it says health underneath blocked ability tags, so it was 4, now it's 3, now it's 2, now it's 1, now it's 0. It's probably going to go to -1. Yeah, it's going to go to -1. I do need to make it so that it caps it as at 0 for a lower limit. But suffice to say, we have health. We now have health. We don't have the player dying yet, but we have health. We now have... So, as a result of today, we have a couple of things. We have, when the player charges into an enemy, it will knock them back, and then they die, instead of just, you know, the player running into the enemy and they just sort of vanish immediately. Same happens with projectiles. So if I was to hit this enemy with a projectile, if I can hit them, they will also be knocked back, and then they will die. But then also, we have the enemy being able to knock the player back with a projectile, and then, although it's not visible at the moment, the player is actively losing health as this is happening. So, basically, in terms of like visual feedback for when the player attacks the enemy, and also, aside from the stomp, I do want to do something funny with that, but I'll get to that probably next time. But with the visual feedback, as well as, you know, the enemy interacting with the player, we basically have interactions from both sides now, which is good, aside from, you know, lives and whatnot, but we'll figure that out. So, with that being said, considering the fact that it took me quite some time to do this, and that honestly took a lot out of me, mentally, not physically, mentally, because at times it was getting a bit difficult for me to try and keep my brain focused on the thing, because there was like a whole bunch that I was trying to work through in my head to make sure that this was working. I'm going to call things there for today for the sake of having a little bit of a rest before I go to bed. So, to people who showed up, and everyone watching things back, yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with it. Like, thank you very much. But yeah, to everyone who showed up and everyone watching things back, whether it's here on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on when you're watching this, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow, we're going back to Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. We've got, honestly, quite a bit to get through, and there's like about a month, less than a month or so before the Majima game releases, and I've already said many times, I want to play it on launch. So we're going to try and get through as much as we can. So for that very reason, I think the next week or so, I'm going to have it be entirely, like for playthrough streams, entirely Infinite Wealth, so we can get through things as quickly as possible. Probably after like the playthrough streams this week and after the break streams the week after, I'll probably get back to Skyward Sword, because you know, I'll be a bit closer with beating Infinite Wealth, so I'll be fine for that. But anyway, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and as always, I'll see you all again in the very next one.